Hey guys, as 2019 is coming to a close, I have decided to make a video talking about my art progress and journey this year, how I got back into art, and the techniques and methods I am using to improve my art right now. Do keep in mind though that a lot of these artworks are just studies and practices, and in many ways, compiling them into this video helps showcase my general art level throughout this year, and it can serve as something to look back on in the future. So without further delay, here is my year of doing art. Although I've been interested in art ever since I was a young child, it was only around May of this year that I rediscovered my interest in it. It happened during a live stream over on Twitch where for some reason I was messing around drawing in Microsoft Paint, with my mouse and zero idea of what I was doing. These are things I drew that day. Mostly just random characters my Twitch chat would request me to draw. People liked watching me draw, and I liked drawing too, and so it continued. For around 2 weeks, I spent tens of hours on stream drawing Pokemon and anime girls. All the while my interest in art started to grow. There was just something simple yet challenging, stressful yet cathartic about it. Recreating these images you see on screen. People found it amusing how I could draw detailed and accurate images like this, which don't fall in line with the typical perception of Microsoft Paint art. Also the fact that I drew all of this with a mouse. That was something that intrigued people too. And to be honest, I enjoyed the recognition of my art at the time. But in my head, something was missing. Doing this short term was fine, but if I truly wanted to stick with art and turn it into something more than a sudden and fleeting interest, I would have to learn how to get better so that I could create the art I really wanted to make. This cartoony Bob Ross is actually the first and earliest original composition I have saved in my computer. Original in the sense that it wasn't an attempt at directly referencing a pre-existing image to, in essence, aim to recreate it exactly. Which is what I did with the images you've seen thus far. This Bob Ross was an image that I conjured up myself and one that I attempted to translate onto the canvas. I know that it's laughably basic and poorly constructed at best, but that's because I didn't have much if any prior experience. So why am I focusing so much on something so seemingly trivial? I mean, don't most people create their own characters, poses, etc. ever since they were young? See, as a child I enjoyed replicating characters and images that I liked, and was almost fearful of creating something new since there was no guarantee that it would turn out nice. In life, I had always been a follower, and so the art of replicating rather than creation came naturally to me. I had never considered the fact that I could make something original, something that exists nowhere else in this world. But I guess the urge to create suddenly caught up to me. I was prepared to leave the safety of what I knew and work on my fundamentals in art in order to be able to do that. Fast forward a few weeks to around June, I was lucky enough to find a teacher, a mentor of sorts, that helped me kickstart my art journey. This was all streamed, but sadly I can't find any clips of that period, so I'll just talk over some of the works I did at the time. This mentor of mine walked me through the basics of anime face drawing, from the construction to the details like the curvature of the face, eyes, nose, mouth shape, hair physics, size, which now in hindsight is something that I shouldn't be tackling that early on, especially since I didn't really fully understand anatomy yet. But yeah, it was a lot to learn. It felt like I was always rolling a dice when I practiced. Because the result was always so unpredictable that I didn't even know what I was capable of and where my art level was truly during that time period. For example, I would get an aspect of a drawing right one time, And the next time I draw that very same area, it would be the worst aspect of the drawing. And some other aspect would take its place to be the most obviously accurate part of the piece. This cycle would continue, leaving me confused and almost unmotivated to continue practicing since there wasn't any clear signs of improvement. I later learned that a lot of artists face this, but all I knew at the time was that I was overwhelmed by the sheer amount that I had to learn. And I am in no way saying this to discredit my mentor at the time, who tried their best to correct my errors and help me create better and more accurate looking faces. I think it was just the nature of getting into art, as there is just so much to learn and so much new information to process. If anything, I'm thankful that I got some insight into what I eventually had to learn and master if I was going to reach my goals as an artist. So yeah, thanks, mentor at the time. Shortly after, I lost contact with my mentor, and in the next few months, I practiced art on and off, for a moment retreating back into my comfort zone of replicating cute girls rather than creating my own. I should mention as well that at this point, I stopped streaming art as much. Instead, my Twitch content shifted to being more gaming oriented. This quickly changed, however, during a month-long trip to Europe in September. Maybe it was the fact that I didn't have as much of a schedule and was allowed to freely explore what I wanted to do in a different environment. But I became quickly determined once again to improve my art skills, so I could create my own original art. The kind of art I like and appreciate. So much so that I started practicing face anatomy once again during the trip. I distinctly remember this one hotel where I had asked the receptionist for 20 pieces of A4 paper just so I could fill them up with faces. I drew quite a few, as you can see. However, I was still on vacation, so I didn't spend that much time practicing. I was determined to improve though, and so shortly after I returned from the trip, I started what I now call 20 hours of drawing series, where the whole idea was to focus on one aspect of a human's anatomy for a total of 20 hours at a time. I also worked in perspective and some color theory along the way. I had read somewhere that doing something for 20 hours at a time is a reliable way to mark progress and keep oneself motivated. So as someone who struggles with commitment and motivation, I decided to try the method out for myself. And it worked wonderfully, as 20 hours is a significant yet reasonable amount of time to learn something new and be able to look back at and see noticeable improvement. Gone were the days where I would worry about not making progress, which was a fantastic feeling. I started off by learning how to draw realistic looking and anime inspired eyes, since although drawing in anime style is my ultimate goal, all styles still draw from life. I later moved on to learn how to draw the entire face, hair, torso and arms, hands and legs, which I'm still working on now, in their own 20-hour segments. Each of these 20-hour chunks typically took a week to complete, and I would work on pieces on the side while learning these fundamental aspects of human anatomy. This kept the process fun and exciting, as I was able to immediately apply my newfound skills into pieces and notice results. I also want to address the fact that the mindset in this stage of learning is also very important. I wouldn't consider myself a perfectionist, but I definitely have very high standards, which can be very hard on oneself, especially if you expect your work to be a level which you aren't really at. This has led me to disappointment many times in the past with learning, among other things, and is something I, and many other artists I'm sure, struggle with on a daily basis. But I feel like it's something that is especially detrimental to beginners, since it's easier to turn back and say, art isn't for me, or I will never be as good as so-and-so artist. I won't go deep into this, since I may actually make an entirely separate video on this topic alone. Anyway, the segmented 20-hour practice model really did help me, especially during times where I wanted to give up, as I could clearly look back to before those 20 hours and admit to myself that I did in fact improve. regardless of how tiny the margin. At this point, I was streaming and creating art every day, and Twitch chat was a huge part to why I could keep myself motivated. And especially since I'm not terribly entertaining when I'm focused on practicing, or even in general, just knowing that people are there to chill with me is pretty nice. So yeah, I am pretty much sticking with this way of practicing until now, with only one new addition to my practice routine. That being studying my favorite artists and analyzing their style. Breaking it down to what I like about it and hopefully learn and incorporate it into my own art. This speed paint here is actually a piece I did of the character 2B, following a tutorial by my favorite artist right now, Yueko. She makes these personal feeling yet outwardly beautiful pieces that I am absolutely enthralled by. They are qualities I would like my future pieces to possess. Nowadays, whenever I look at a piece, I try to identify what I like most about it, and try to figure out why I like it, and how the artist made that element of the piece so attractive. My journey has hardly begun, and there is still so much to learn and figure out with my art, be it in art style, preference in subjects, themes, and so on, which is really exciting. And I know there's much more to art than just learning anatomy. I literally have a sheet of all the art fundamentals which I made a while back stuck to my whiteboard right above my PC. So don't worry, I'll be working on those too. But yeah, I wanted to make this video to basically document the start of my art journey and to provide a bit of context to my history with art. Hopefully I can look back at the end of next year and see significant improvement in my art. More importantly, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I really hope it wasn't terrible. Definitely let me know in the comments if you have any feedback or ideas as to what you want me to make a video on next. Do expect more art and streaming related videos very soon, as I will be posting at least one video every single week. In the meantime, why don't you hang out with me on Twitch? I stream multiple times a week and enjoy just chilling and getting to know you guys. So come say hi. And if you like this video, please share it with someone who you think may enjoy the content. It really helps more than you think. Anyway, have a great day and good luck with your art.